Today we are going to be talking about the EcoFlow Delta Pro 3. It has some pretty amazing upgrades that they've done over the standard Delta Pro, and we're going to go over some of these amazing features today and talk about what I like and what I don't like about this Delta Pro. So starting out, you'll see this is all that came in the box with the Delta Pro. You get your owner's manual, your warranty stuff, and a power cord. They still do not send out a XT60 adapter to your MC4 for connecting the solar panels, so you will need to purchase those separately. So one of the things about the Delta Pro is it just does not have very much PV input. The Delta Pro only has 1600 watts. So EcoFlow has heard the request and they've added another charging port, 1000 watt capability in addition to the 1600 watts. So you have the 1600 watt high voltage connector here, which is the original one, and then here is the low voltage 1000 watt connector. So the new connector that is 1000 watts is only rated for 60 volt max, not 150 like the original one. So with the original connector, you could typically put 3 panels in series, and that would get you close to 150 volts while staying under the 150 volts. While this one here, you're going to need to do your 3 panels in parallel, and you're going to need to run a little bit heavier gauge wire than you would with this port here. You have your switch here for fast charging, and then you also have the adjust mode where if you flip that over, well, now you can adjust on the app the different wattage that you use to charge this unit. This unit is capable of charging at the same time while you're exporting 110 volts and 220 volts, which is a nice upgrade with the Delta Pros. If you're using the 240 volt hub, you could not charge at the same time as using the 240 volt, but in the manual it says that you can with this unit. Then you have your charging port for fast chargers if you're on the road, and then you have your 2 extra battery ports. Nice thing about this unit is the extra batteries are half the size rather than the full frame, so it'll take up less space. Then we come around the side here and you'll see we have the 30 amp plug, just like the Delta Pro. Now the front of the unit is a little bit different. The power button is on top, and you have a much bigger LCD screen, and then you have your 240 volt plugs and your 120 volt plugs. If you turn on the 120 volt plugs, you cannot use the 240 volt plugs at the same time. If you go ahead and turn that on, it will shut the 120 volt plugs off. Same as if you hit the 120, it'll shut the 240 volts off. And then back to this side, you have your 12 volt output here, as well as another 12 volt output up here with a switch here, and then the plug-in for a remote. So let's talk about some of the features of this unit. Once we're done talking about some of the features and the upgrades from the Delta Pro, then we'll go into the app and I want to show you some of the new cool, exciting things that they did on the app with this unit. So the Delta Pro 3 is capable of 4000 watts of output. If you need to do something that requires a little bit more of that wattage, there is a setting you can go in on the app and toggle on the lift mode, which will give you up to 6000 of continuous duty for short periods of time. On normal operation mode, it can handle 4000 watts with a surge of 8000 watts for 400 milliseconds, which is enough to get just about every major appliance started up. You can parallel not 2, but 3 of these units together, unlike the Delta Pro where you can only parallel 2 together. So if you parallel 3 of these units together, you will be able to put out 12,000 watts of power, which is a pretty substantial amount of power and should be more than enough to power your average home. This unit also has one of the fastest UPS switching times that I've seen in any power unit. The switching time is 10 milliseconds, which is incredibly fast. One of the other big upgrades of this unit over the Delta Pros is that it is much quieter than the Delta Pro. It still uses the pure sine wave inverter. So before we go any further, we're gonna just test to see how loud it actually is. I know the Delta Pros were pretty stinking loud in comparison to many other units that I've tested. So I'm curious to see how this new unit performs compared to the Delta Pros. All right, so I have my scientific test here. We're going to use a toaster and a space heater. The space heater we're going to turn on to the highest setting, which is rated for 1500 watts, and then we're going to use the toaster. Each side is 750 watts, so we'll go ahead and start up the space heater here, and then we're going to start the toaster. And so now we are drawing 3000 watts of power. On the screen here it's showing we're at 2900 watts, and I hear nothing from the Delta Pro currently. All right, so I've had the toaster now running for a couple minutes and it is not making a bit of noise. So what I'm going to do next now is plug in the Delta Pro to the outlet, and we're going to see how much noise it makes from that. And we're also going to test the UPS mode to make sure that the toaster stays running while we connect it. All right, so it is plugged in. I heard the Delta Pro click. and we have it set to the fastest charge setting. It is not making any noise, but I am just floored. I can't believe it. This is the quietest power unit that I have used. The fact that it's taking in power and it's using the toaster, and we have no noise coming from the machine. So EcoFlow claims that it is quiet as a whisper, and I would say they are dead on that one. So far from what I've seen, it is pretty stinking quiet. So the next thing we're gonna test while we got it plugged in here is I'm gonna go ahead and turn on the 240 volt outlets. On the Delta Pros, if you turn on the 240 volt outlets, it would automatically shut off the charging. So we're gonna test that right now and see if it will still charge with the 240 volt outlets turned on. All right, so as you can see, it is charging here. I have it set to charge at 400 watts. And we're gonna go ahead and just turn on the 240 volt outlets. And it worked. It did not kick out the charging, so we are currently charging. I'm gonna go ahead and go on the app and crank up the charging speed just to make sure that it will do it at the high wattage as well. Look at that, and it will do it at the high wattage as well. So what that means is if you have a smaller 1,000 or 2,000 watt generator that you cannot power certain things with because you don't have the power capacity for it, you can charge this unit with that generator. And if it's a 1,000 watt generator, you can go on the app and you can change it so that it will only charge at a maximum of 1,000 watts or 900 watts, whatever you prefer. And then when you have your bigger loads, this will be basically a buffer. So when your appliances turn on, this will be able to handle that load, and the generator will constantly run at a continuous rate, which is more efficient than going up and down with the loads. And this thing will be basically your buffer for your loads. So you could run your camper. If you have a camper with 2 air conditioners, this should be able to run it without a problem. And your generator will just help maintain the battery level. So these units in and of themselves are not waterproof, but the battery bank that's inside of these units is waterproof and dustproof, which will help prolong the life of the units. It also helps make them more fire resistant, which makes them a safer unit to use. EcoFlow also claims that these units are rated for 4,000 cycles, which they are saying is about 11-year life cycle of these units. They will still work after that. It's just the performance of the batteries will be reduced. Each power unit comes with a 5-year warranty, which seems to be kind of a standard in the industry. There are 3 different ways you can hook this up to your house. You can use a smart home panel 2, transfer switch, or you can use an inlet distribution plug that is connected directly to your panel. All right, so next up, we're gonna dive into the app and we're gonna go over some of the upgrades that they've done. So I've already added the Delta Pro 3 to my app, and that's one of the first things I'd like to mention is the Delta Pros, getting them connected to the app was a pain in the butt. It took several tries for me to get them to connect to the app and communicate properly. And this unit here, I simply opened the app, it popped up right away and said, hey, would you like to connect the Delta Pro 3? So I clicked on it and it connected right away. It took just a couple of seconds. This part of the app is all the same. We're gonna go ahead and click on the unit. Now you'll see that there are a few different changes right off the bat. And if you click on this real-time power, this is a really cool feature that I see that they added, which I love that they did this. A lot of the other power units have this feature as well, which is great because it'll tell you how much power you've inputted via solar, AC, and other. And then also you can choose output and you can see how much power you've outputted as well. So you can essentially keep track of how much money you've saved by using this unit based on the amount of solar that you have collected. So I love that feature about this. You can do it by the day, the week, the month, the year, whatever you choose, or you can go by a single day and just scroll through. You can select the calendar, pick a day of the week or the year, the month. So I feel like EcoFlow has listened to the customer with this unit and they have done the upgrades that the customers have wanted. Like there are a lot of features of the Delta Pro that were not included that this unit has, which in my opinion, makes this one of the best power units on the market. I'll put a link in the description down below for you to purchase this unit, as well as some coupon codes, save you a little bit more money. And if you found this video helpful, please hit that subscribe button, follow along to the channel. I will be posting videos in the future of updates of all the power units that I test. I don't just test them one time. I use all of my power units on a daily basis and I run them hard. And so every couple of months, I'll do an update and let you know how the power units are performing, if there's any issues that I've come across, and I'll also let you know which ones are the best ones that I've had the least amount of issues with. So be sure to hit that subscribe button and follow along to the channel, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.